And this is the last part of today's lesson in which we are trying to figure out ways of developing our first ideas about theme as it appears in the short stories that we're studying. In the first step that we took, we thought about problems and issues in the story, connected them to thematic topics, and did a bit of free writing on those ideas. And now we're on step two, and that's going to ask us to go back to the text. So, what I want you to do here is actually go back into the story and look at a couple critical scenes and reread them closely to see how the theme is playing out in it. And do your best to connect it to some of the ideas you've had already in your first free write. Or if it's causing you to rethink things, feel free to go in a different direction. Now, the advantage you guys have is that you've already done annotations for your short story. So you've already noted lots of different passages and different moments in the story that you think are significant. Some of you may have even taken the extra step of taking some of your thematic topic ideas and going back through the story and sort of tagging or flagging certain sections that you think connect to those thematic topics. That would be amazing if you did that, and that'd be really helpful. But either way, I know for a fact that you've got some scenes in mind from your short story that you can go back and look at more critically and see if you can't develop your ideas a little bit more by looking at what you see in those scenes specifically. So let me remind you of what I'm doing as I'm modeling this for you. I'm still working on All Summer in a Day. And in my first free write, you remember I started with this idea that one theme emerging in the text might be that jealousy can make us mean. And after writing, by the end, I got to the idea that maybe jealousy can harm everyone involved, um, not just the persons who are the victims of jealousy, but also the people who are jealous. So now I want to go back to the story and see if I can't find a scene that I can look at more critically and come up with some more ideas. And I've got a scene in mind for sure. This is it. And then, of course, the biggest crime of all was that she had come here only 5 years ago from Earth, and she remembered the sun and the way the sun was and the sky was when she was 4 in Ohio. And they had been on Venus all their lives, and they had been only 2 years old when last the sun came out, and had long since forgotten the color and heat of it and the way it really was. But Margot remembered. Okay, this is a short passage, but there's a lot in here that stands out to me. I'm sure, like for me, you were struck by this last little quick sentence, but Margot remembered. It's very powerful. And this word, but Margot remembered, it really sets her off as different, right? She is the one who remembered, unlike the rest of them. She remembers the sun. There's other little indicators of the difference, right? We know that she's from Earth and Ohio, but they had been on Venus. So these place names are kind of separating them a bit, separating them and showing us that they are apart from each other. And also, she had remembered the sun and the way it really was, which implies that, she knows something they don't know. She knows some kind of truth that they don't understand. So there's a lot of ideas just in these couple sentences that are really sort of sparking my thinking a bit and giving me some things to write about. But I bet the first line stood out to you. And that's one that is sort of pulling me to it right now. And then, of course, the biggest crime of all was that she had come here only 5 years ago from Earth. This phrase, the biggest crime, that's really interesting to me because when you think about it, what's being said here is that she's committed this crime. Her crime was coming here only 5 years ago. Her crime is remembering the son. She's committing the crime. So that's something I got to think about now, and it's making me want to go back to my idea about um, jealousy and meanness and the way the kids are treating each other, and see if I can't develop my thoughts a bit further. So the step asks you to reread some specific scenes closely and see how theme works in them. And then what I want you to do is do some more free writing on that. So this is free write number 2. It's the second box at the bottom of your short story. Think about a specific scene or moment. And this is where I want you to do a little bit of free writing. So what I did after thinking about that passage was I wrote this. At first, I thought that the thematic message was that jealousy hurts people, but I actually think it's more than that. The kids see Margot's memories of the son as a quote crime against them. It's as if she's doing this to them. Consequently, their jealous is so big and painful that they can't see Margot as just a little kid who lived on Earth longer than them. This is significant because it's like their own jealousy makes it so they can't even see their own pain. Maybe the story is actually teaching us something else. That jealousy makes you blind to other people, or maybe it's that jealousy makes you self centered or selfish. Okay, if we were together, I'd ask you to sort of notice a few things that I did here as a writer, even as just a free writer, somebody who's not really worrying about getting things right or expressing myself perfectly. And if we were together, I'm sure a couple of you would notice that once again, I've used the phrase, this is significant because. You might notice I pulled this word consequently. That's from the same list of sort of sentence starter phrases that I gave you as tools. Consequently basically means like as a result of this, right? So that helps me to start thinking about this happened, and because of that, this happened. So I'm sort of doing a cause and effect bit here. Also, this phrase is really important. At first, I thought this, but now I actually think this. That's a good kind of a sentence structure to drive you to try to rethink things or come up with sort of new angles. And then finally, notice that I ended with questions. I'm not all that sure if these ideas down here are great. Jealousy making you blind, jealousy making you self centered. I think those are good ideas, but I'm not 100% confident about them, and it's okay. I'm just putting them down there as possibilities. And that is what I want to see from you guys today. This is step 2 in our step by step manual. Go back to the text, consider how the theme works in specific critical scenes, reread one or two of those scenes closely, and then write your next blurb, your next free write. Extend your initial ideas or go in a new direction, revise them.